The
Ready for school,
fluorescent lights of
sweetie?
the community
Yes,
center
Daddy.
Have
flickered
the
as
best
Marcus
day, my
adjusted
love.
his
I
daughter's
will.
backpack,
Bye.
Bye,
waiting for
sweetie.
the after-school program director to unlock the door. He'd been early for pickup every day this week, a habit born from being the sole parent responsible for everything: homework help, dinner prep, bedtime stories, and the thousand invisible tasks that filled the gaps between. Being a single dad wasn't something he'd planned, but it had become the defining feature of his life since his wife left 3 years ago, choosing a corporate transfer over her family. That's when he noticed her, Helen Montgomery, the formidable CEO of Montgomery Industries, sitting alone on a bench outside the center's administrative office. Her silver hair was pulled back in its signature tight bun, her designer suit immaculate despite the late hour. But something was different. Her shoulders, usually squared with authority, curved inward. Her hands trembled slightly as they gripped a wadded tissue. Marcus had worked in her company's mailroom for 6 years. He'd seen Helen from a distance countless times, barking orders during office emergencies, striding through hallways with an entourage of executives, commanding boardrooms with the kind of presence that made grown men straighten their ties. She was a legend, a self-made billionaire who'd built an empire from a single patent. She was also, according to office gossip, utterly alone. Ms. Montgomery. Marcus approached cautiously, the way one might approach a wounded animal. Are you all right? She looked up, her eyes red-rimmed and startled. For a moment, he thought she might dismiss him with a curt wave. Instead, something in her face crumbled. No one wants to date me, she whispered, so quietly he almost missed it. The words hung in the air between them, raw and vulnerable. I'm 73 years old, I've built a billion-dollar company, and I can't get a single person to sit through dinner with me without checking their watch. Marcus sat down beside her, maintaining a respectful distance. Inside, his 6-year-old daughter Emma was probably showing off her latest crayon masterpiece. He had 10 minutes before pickup. 10 minutes that, he sensed, might matter more than he could imagine. I'm sorry, he said simply. That sounds really lonely. Helen laughed, a bitter sound that caught in her throat. Do you know what today is? It's my birthday. My assistant ordered me a cake from the French bakery on 5th. It's sitting in my office right now, all 7 tiers of it, enough to feed 50 people. I'll eat a slice alone at my desk, just like I do every year. Something twisted in Marcus's chest. He knew loneliness. He knew what it felt like to celebrate milestones with an audience of one, to wonder if anyone would notice if you simply disappeared. But he also knew something else. He knew that showing up mattered. What if you didn't? He heard himself say. She turned to him, confusion creasing her forehead. Didn't what? Eat it alone. What if you shared it? The after-school program here serves about 40 kids every day. Most of them would lose their minds over fancy French cake. Helen blinked. I couldn't possibly. Why not? It's your birthday. You should spend it with people who'll actually appreciate being there. For a long moment, she studied him. Marcus could almost see her mind working, calculating risks and benefits, weighing the proposition against decades of carefully maintained boundaries between her world and everyone else's. All right, she said finally. But only if you help me carry it. An hour later, Marcus stood in Helen Montgomery's corner office for the first time in his life. The cake truly was magnificent, layers of champagne sponge and raspberry cream. Decorated with delicate sugar flowers that probably cost more than his monthly rent. Helen had already called her driver to bring it to the community center. I don't even know why I ordered such a big one, she admitted, carefully packing candles into her purse. Hope, maybe. Pathetic hope that this year would be different. It's not pathetic to want connection, Marcus said, lifting the cake box with careful hands. It's human. The community center erupted with excitement when they arrived. Emma spotted her father immediately and ran over, stopping short when she saw who accompanied him. Dad, is that the lady from your office building? Emma whispered loudly. The really important one. Helen knelt down, her expensive skirt pooling on the scuffed linoleum. I'm Helen. Is it okay if I share my birthday cake with you and your friends? Emma's eyes went wide. It's your birthday. We have to sing. What followed was chaos in the best possible way. 40 children crowded around as program volunteers scrambled to find plates and forks. Helen, looking slightly overwhelmed but genuinely delighted, allowed herself to be led to a place of honor at the head of the longest table. Marcus watched as the kids sang an enthusiastic, off-key rendition of Happy Birthday, watched as Helen's carefully composed mask finally, completely shattered. She cried. Not delicate, dignified tears, but the full-bodied sobs of someone releasing years of accumulated loneliness. Emma, with the uninhibited compassion of childhood, climbed into Helen's lap and hugged her fiercely. "Don't be sad," Emma said. "Birthdays are supposed to be happy. And you have so many friends here now." Over the next few months, something remarkable happened. Helen started showing up at the community center regularly, not as a CEO or a donor, but as a volunteer reading tutor. She and Marcus began having coffee after pickup, comparing notes on single parenting, hers being metaphorical, the loneliness of building a company at the expense of relationships, his being literal. She told him about the 5 marriages that had failed because her partners couldn't handle her ambition. He told her about the fear that gripped him every time Emma asked why she didn't have a mom like other kids. Helen also started dating again, but differently this time. She joined a book club for seniors, volunteered at a soup kitchen, took a painting class. She stopped looking for someone to complete her and started building a life worth sharing. One evening, 6 months after that first birthday at the community center, Helen called Marcus to her office. He'd been promoted to executive assistant by then, a position Helen had created specifically for him after discovering his knack for organization and his gentle way with difficult people. "I need to tell you something," she said, and Marcus felt his stomach drop. Was she moving? Selling the company? Dying? "I've been seeing someone," she continued, a blush creeping up her neck. "Robert. We met at the painting class. He's a retired teacher, loves terrible puns, and thinks my success is interesting but not nearly as interesting as my opinion on Impressionism." Marcus grinned. "That's wonderful, Helen. But that's not what I wanted to tell you." She pulled out an envelope, her hands steady now, confident. "I'm establishing a foundation for single parents to provide childcare assistance, tutoring, and emergency funds. I'm naming it the Emma Marcus Foundation, if you'll allow me." The words on the check inside made Marcus's vision blur. $100 million for the initial endowment. "You stayed when everyone else walked away," Helen said softly. "You saw a sad old woman on a bench and decided she mattered. You gave me 10 minutes of your time when you had every reason to rush past. I want to make sure other people get that same chance, to be seen, to matter, to know they're not alone." Marcus thought about all the moments that had led here. The choice to stop, to listen, to offer a simple kindness to someone who seemed to have everything but felt she had nothing. He thought about how easy it would have been to walk past, to assume that someone like Helen Montgomery didn't need help from someone like him. "We all just want to know we matter," Marcus said finally. "Rich, poor, powerful, struggling, underneath it all, we're just humans hoping someone will notice we're here." Helen nodded, reaching across the desk to squeeze his hand. "You noticed. And it changed everything." Outside the office window, the city sparkled with evening lights, each one representing someone's story, someone's struggle, someone's hope for connection. And in a community center across town, 40 kids were probably finishing their homework, maybe asking when Ms. Helen would be back to read stories, unaware that her presence in their lives began with one whispered confession and one man's decision to stay.